The name Hermes Trismegistus echoes through forbidden texts and whispered histories. He's a figure shrouded in mist, a god, a sage, a mythical king. Was he one person or a title passed through generations of hidden knowledge? Ancient Egyptians revered Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, and magic. The Greeks, with their own pantheon, saw his reflection in Hermes, messenger of the gods, guide of souls, and master of secrets. They merged these two powerful deities. This fusion created something more profound than either individual god. It gave birth to Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, a being considered so wise, so divinely inspired, that his knowledge transcended human understanding. But what did he actually teach? His identity is less a historical fact and more a spiritual blueprint, a symbol for an ancient tradition of esoteric wisdom. This mythical identity laid the foundation for an entire school of thought, but we must ask, where did this wisdom first appear in written form? We'll explore the ancient texts attributed to him next. And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's get started. Imagine a collection of scrolls guarded in ancient libraries filled with profound spiritual insights. These are the Hermetic texts, writings attributed to Hermes Trismegistus himself. They weren't just religious doctrines, they were philosophical treatises, alchemical manuals, and astrological guides all rolled into one. These texts, like the Corpus Hermeticum and the Asclepius, spoke of the creation of the cosmos, the nature of God, and the divine spark within humanity. They offered a path to gnosis, direct knowledge of the divine, promising spiritual illumination to those who could decipher their complex wisdom. Many believed these texts held the keys to unlocking ultimate truth. They taught that the universe was a living, breathing entity, interconnected by subtle energies. Every part of creation mirrored every other part, from the grandest galaxy to the smallest stone. This concept of as above, so below became a cornerstone of esoteric thought. These ancient writings weren't just philosophical musings, they were practical guides for spiritual transformation. But how did such a distinct philosophical system subtly weave its way into the fabric of other major belief systems? We'll uncover Hermeticism's hidden influence on religions in the next section. It might surprise you to learn how deeply Hermetic ideas permeated the foundations of established religions. We often think of belief systems as distinct, self-contained entities, but in antiquity, wisdom flowed more freely. Hermetic principles, rather than clashing, often found common ground. Early Christian thinkers, before the solidification of dogma, grappled with deep philosophical questions about God, creation, and the soul. Some found answers, or at least powerful metaphors, within Hermetic texts. They saw echoes of creation narratives and the concept of a divine logos. Even within Islam, particularly among Sufi mystics, Hermetic concepts of spiritual ascent and the mirroring of macrocosm and microcosm resonated profoundly. The pursuit of inner knowledge, the idea of a hidden truth, aligned with their own spiritual quests. This cross-pollination wasn't always explicit. It was more like an undercurrent, a shared intellectual atmosphere that subtly shaped theological discussions and mystical practices. But this deep influence didn't guarantee Hermeticism's continued visibility. What happened to this rich tradition that it seemed to vanish for so long? We'll explore the disappearance of Hermetic wisdom next. For centuries, these profound Hermetic texts were a prized possession of scholars and mystics, yet they seemed to vanish almost entirely from Western consciousness. It wasn't a sudden cataclysm, but a gradual dimming, a slow fading into obscurity as the world shifted. The rise of organized religion, particularly Christianity, brought a different kind of authority. Doctrines became rigid, and anything deemed outside the official canon was viewed with suspicion, sometimes even hostility. Hermeticism, with its emphasis on individual gnosis and esoteric interpretations, didn't fit neatly into this new structure. Libraries were destroyed, manuscripts lost, and the pursuit of knowledge narrowed. The intellectual climate simply changed. pushing these ancient wisdom traditions to the fringes. They became the domain of a select few, hidden away in private collections or passed down through secret societies. It seemed as though the voice of Hermes Trismegistus had been silenced, his wisdom effectively erased from public discourse. But then, centuries later, something almost inexplicable happened. What caused the sudden, unexplained rise of a text called the Kybalion? We investigate this curious resurgence next, just when it seemed Hermetic wisdom was relegated to dusty academic footnotes. A small, unassuming book appeared in 1908. It was titled The Kybalion, a study of the Hermetic philosophy of ancient Egypt and Greece by three initiates. It promised to unveil the very essence of Hermetic teachings. This book wasn't an ancient text rediscovered. It was a completely new creation, yet it claimed to be the definitive summary of Hermetic thought, distilled into 7 universal principles. People were starving for spiritual knowledge outside of conventional religion, and the Kybalion offered an alluring alternative. It landed in a world fascinated by the occult, new thought, and metaphysics, fitting perfectly into the prevailing spiritual curiosities of the era. Its accessible language and concise principles made complex ideas digestible, offering a path to power and understanding for the average reader. But who were these 3 initiates? Their anonymity only added to the mystique, hinting at a secret source of profound, ancient knowledge. This small book exploded in popularity, captivating minds across the globe. What exactly were these 7 Hermetic principles that garnered such fervent devotion? We'll dive into them next. At the heart of the Kybalion are its 7 Hermetic principles, presented as immutable laws governing the entire universe. The principle of mentalism states that the all is mind, the universe is mental. This idea posits that all reality originates from a divine, universal consciousness. Then there's the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as below, so above. This echoes ancient Hermetic thought, suggesting that there are always parallels between the different planes of existence, from the spiritual to the material. It implies a deep interconnectedness. The principle of vibration declares that nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This speaks to the dynamic, energetic nature of the cosmos, where everything is in constant motion at varying frequencies. The fourth, the principle of polarity, states that everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. The principle of rhythm, everything flows out and in, everything has its tides. All things rise and fall, describes the cyclical nature of existence. The principle of cause and effect, every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause, everything happens according to law. Finally, the principle of gender. Gender is in everything, everything has its masculine and feminine principles. These sweeping statements claim to reveal the very fabric of reality, but were these truly ancient principles or something much newer, we'll ask. Is the Kybalion really ancient? The Kybalion presents itself as a direct conduit to ancient Egyptian and Greek Hermeticism, but is this claim truly supported by evidence? When scholars examine its contents, a compelling narrative emerges, suggesting it's not quite what it purports to be. While it uses Hermetic terminology and concepts, the way it organizes and presents them feels distinctly modern. The structured, almost scientific breakdown into 7 principles is more akin to late 19th and early 20th century New Thought movements than to the sprawling, often poetic ancient texts. The anonymous 3 initiates offer no historical proof of their lineage or access to lost ancient wisdom. Instead, the book's style, vocabulary, and emphasis on mental mastery align closely with American transcendentalism and other esoteric revivals of its time. This raises a crucial question. If the Kybalion wasn't discovered from ancient scrolls, but written relatively recently, then why the pretense? What was the benefit of framing a new work as an ancient one? This leads us directly to the Kybalion's deep connection to the occult world of its era, which we explore next. The turn of the 20th century was a fertile ground for occult and esoteric movements. Societies like the Theosophical Society, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and various New Thought groups were thriving, seeking hidden knowledge and spiritual enlightenment outside mainstream religion. The Kybalion emerged from this very milieu, a time when invoking ancient, mystical sources lent immense authority and allure to new teachings. Attributing a work to Hermes Trismegistus immediately gave it an aura of profound wisdom and secret lineage, making it far more compelling than a contemporary philosophical treatise. Many involved in these occult circles were deeply invested in secret wisdom and lost keys to understanding the universe. The Kybalion perfectly tapped into this hunger, offering a systematic explanation of cosmic laws that many felt was missing from their lives. Its principles offered a framework for personal power and manifestation. This wasn't just about truth, it was about authority and marketing in a burgeoning spiritual marketplace. The fascination with ancient mysteries provided the perfect backdrop. But if it wasn't genuinely ancient, who were these mysterious three initiates who penned this influential work? Our next section explores the hidden author, William Walker Atkinson. For years, the identity of the three initiates behind the Kybalion remained a compelling mystery, fueling its enigmatic appeal. However, extensive research points overwhelmingly to one man, William Walker Atkinson. Atkinson was a prolific writer of the New Thought movement, a master of various pseudonyms, and a central figure in the occult revival of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He published dozens of books on topics ranging from yoga and mental science to self-help and practical mysticism. His writing style, his vocabulary, and the philosophical concepts explored in the Kybalion bear striking resemblances to his other known works. He was deeply entrenched in the very esoteric circles that would have seen value in presenting a new text as ancient Hermetic wisdom. His publishing company, the Advanced Thought Publishing Company, was behind the Kybalion. The evidence, though circumstantial, is incredibly persuasive. It suggests that Atkinson, either alone or with a small circle of collaborators, crafted the Kybalion. But why did he choose anonymity and the guise of ancient origins? This brings us to the fascinating power of pseudo-antiquity, which we'll uncover next. Why would William Walker Atkinson, or any author, choose to invent an ancient origin for his work? The answer lies in the profound psychological and cultural power of pseudo-antiquity. There's an inherent human reverence for that which is old, that which has endured the test of time. An ancient text, particularly one attributed to a mythical sage like Hermes Trismegistus, automatically carries an immense weight of authority. It feels more profound, more universally true, and less susceptible to the biases or fleeting trends of the present. It bypasses contemporary critique. It also taps into a deep human longing for lost knowledge, for secrets that have been hidden from the masses. The idea that you are now privy to wisdom preserved across millennia creates a powerful sense of initiation and importance for the reader. This wasn't merely a trick. It was a deliberate framing device that significantly amplified the perceived value and impact of the Kybalion. The illusion of ancient origins proved to be incredibly effective. But if the Kybalion isn't truly ancient, then what did genuine ancient Hermeticism actually teach? We'll delve into the authentic teachings next. If the Kybalion is a modern interpretation, then what did the authentic ancient Hermetic texts, like the Corpus Hermeticum, truly say? The difference is often one of emphasis, tone, and scope, revealing a richer, more complex spiritual tradition. Ancient Hermeticism was less about systematic principles and more about dialogue, mystical experiences, and direct revelation. The texts often present conversations between Hermes Trismegistus and his disciples, grappling with profound spiritual questions rather than simply listing laws. They focused heavily on cosmology, the nature of a transcendent God, and the journey of the soul through various cosmic spheres to achieve reunion with the divine. Alchemy in ancient Hermeticism was primarily a spiritual process of purification and transformation, not merely turning lead into gold. The goal was gnosis, a direct, experiential knowledge of God achieved through contemplation, meditation, and understanding the universe as a reflection of the divine mind. This was a deep, experiential spiritual path. But what are the potential pitfalls when we misattribute these powerful ideas? We'll examine the dangers of misattribution in the following section. The practice of misattributing authorship, particularly to ancient and revered figures, carries significant dangers, both intellectual and spiritual. When a modern text is presented as ancient wisdom, it obfuscates the true historical lineage of ideas. It can lead to a misunderstanding of historical context, making it difficult to trace the evolution of thought and the genuine contributions of various eras. We lose the nuances of ancient philosophies by overlaying modern interpretations onto them, creating a distorted historical record. More importantly, it can disempower genuine critical inquiry. If something is presented as timeless, divinely revealed truth, it discourages questioning and alternative perspectives. It fosters an unquestioning acceptance that can stifle intellectual growth and spiritual discernment. For those genuinely seeking ancient wisdom, unknowingly consuming a modern reinterpretation as the original can lead them down a different path entirely, potentially missing the authentic depth of the original tradition. Yet despite these dangers, the Kybalion found immense traction. Why does it still resonate so powerfully with people today? Let's explore its enduring appeal next. Despite its debated origins, the Kybalion enjoys enduring popularity and continues to resonate deeply with millions of people worldwide. Its appeal lies in several key factors that transcend historical accuracy. Firstly, its 7 principles offer a clear, concise, and seemingly coherent framework for understanding the universe. In a complex world, people crave simplicity and order, and the Kybalion provides an accessible blueprint for universal laws. It promises a sense of control and understanding. Secondly, it empowers the individual. The emphasis on mentalism, vibration, and cause and effect suggests that individuals have the power to shape their reality through thought and intention. This resonates strongly with contemporary self-help and manifestation philosophies. It provides a spiritual narrative that is non-dogmatic and inclusive, appealing to those who feel alienated by traditional religions but still seek meaning and purpose. It offers a promise of hidden knowledge that everyone can access. But how does this kind of mystical belief fare in a world increasingly dominated by scientific skepticism? We'll explore Hermeticism in the age of skepticism next. The modern world, defined by scientific inquiry and empirical evidence, often views ancient mystical traditions, including Hermeticism, with considerable skepticism. The very idea of universal principles, discoverable through intuition and contemplation, challenges the scientific method. Skeptics point to the lack of verifiable historical evidence for many Hermetic claims and the often metaphorical language of its texts. They question how such truths can be known without rigorous, repeatable experimentation, creating a conflict between faith and reason. However, even in this age of skepticism, Hermetic ideas continue to find new expressions and interpretations. They often intersect with fields like quantum physics, psychology, and consciousness studies, where researchers are exploring interconnectedness and the power of the mind in new ways. It forces a re-evaluation of how we define knowledge and truth, suggesting that there are different modes of understanding beyond the purely empirical. The tension between ancient wisdom and modern science is a fascinating one. How then do we reconcile this for those who still seek meaning? We move to rediscovering the spirit behind the words. Perhaps the true value of both ancient Hermeticism and the Kybalion isn't found in their historical veracity or scientific provability, but in their ability to inspire and offer a framework for understanding existence. It's about rediscovering the spirit behind the words. Whether genuinely ancient or a modern synthesis, these texts point to a profound spiritual impulse, the human desire to comprehend the universe, our place within it, and the potential for personal transformation. They are invitations to a deeper inquiry, not definitive answers. To appreciate them fully means to engage with them critically, to understand their historical context, or lack thereof, and yet still remain open to the insights they might offer. It's about discerning the timeless human questions they address, regardless of who penned them or when. This approach allows us to find wisdom not just in ancient scrolls, but in the enduring human quest for meaning itself. It shifts the focus from "is it true?" to "is it useful for my spiritual journey?" This leads us to the ultimate question: is Hermeticism, in its various forms, a truth discovered or merely a powerful tool? We'll explore this final mystery next. So, after examining its mythical origins, its ancient texts, the modern reimagining in the Kybalion, and its enduring appeal, what is Hermeticism? Is it a collection of immutable truths about the universe, revealed to humanity, or is it a powerful set of conceptual tools designed to help us navigate and interpret reality? Perhaps the answer isn't an either-or. For many, the principles of Hermeticism, whether found in ancient texts or modern interpretations, resonate as fundamental truths about the nature of existence. They feel intuitively correct, aligning with their deepest sense of reality. For others, the value lies in its pragmatic application. The ideas of mentalism, correspondence, and cause and effect can be incredibly empowering, offering pathways for personal growth, spiritual development, and even practical manifestation. In this sense, it's a potent tool for transformation. Ultimately, Hermeticism, in all its forms, invites a personal encounter. It presents an intricate worldview that challenges us to look beyond the surface, to consider the unseen connections and the power of our own minds. The choice to view it as revealed truth or a transformative tool rests with each individual seeker. Make sure to subscribe for more religious videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.